Although there seems to be some controversy today about who invented this dish, I can tell you for a fact that it was created at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco around 1910 by the chef there, Ernest Arbogast. I know because when I was a child growing up in San Francisco, one of my science teachers, Mrs. Arbogast, frequently bragged about her grandfather having created this enormously popular casserole dish that was now in magazines and on the backs of soup cans. But like many other classic dishes of that era, it lost popularity after it was oversimplified for consumers and sold as gummy canned foods that had nothing to do with the original delicious recipe. Okay, the setup for this poached turkey breast could hardly be any easier. It's really practically idiot-proof. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on it, massage that around, a couple of chunks of onion, a quarter of an onion, a couple of cloves of garlic, bay leaf, about a tablespoon of salt. Might seem like a lot, but there's a lot of liquid here in the end, and quite a bit of meat. And then I'm just going to put the rest of it, enough milk to cover it, and it's going to go in the oven. It looks like it needs a little bit more milk. Okay. There we go. I got enough for sure now. Now, because of the length of the cooking time here, I'm going to put foil over the top of this before the lid. This dish that I'm using is this little hole in here that's going to let out some steam, so we're not going to let that happen. We're going to cover it with foil first. That's it. It's simple. Goes in the Okay, here's the next morning. 9 hours later. The meat goes on a platter to cool down, and this lovely aromatic broth that's mostly liquid milk is going to be strained. Okay, after it's been brought to a boil, let it cool back down to room temperature, or pretty close to room temperature. You'll see there's this layer of scum on the top of it. I'm going to take this and separate it off. We're going to keep this in a bowl on the side. This is almost like a cheese, and it's very similar to the process that the Indians use to make paneer. So, liquid back in, and we're keeping the curds here. And now that the meat is completely cooled down, we're going to cut this up into cubes. You want to have even reasonable sized cubes. So. Okay, I've got the almonds. I'm going to grind those up into a powder. This is the milk and the sort of the fond or stock that the turkey was cooked in, and then I removed. I strained off the solids. Now I'm adding the ground almonds to this, and I'm going to begin heating this slowly while I chop up the mushrooms. And just to show you, get about, by weight, about 1/4 the amount of mushrooms as we do turkey, and they're cut into roughly the same size pieces. As this heats up, we're going to add the raw mushrooms to it. So it's got the milk, mushrooms, and the almonds. We're going to cook this over low heat, a slow simmer until the mushrooms are cooked. Now, we take those curds that we weighed off, that separated, and we weigh these. We see what we've got here in weight, and we got about 100 grams. So now we know how much Parmesan to add. Okay, so we know there's 100 grams of this in there, so I'm going to add about 33 grams of Parmesan and about 33 grams or 33 milliliters of white wine to this. Meanwhile, those mushrooms in the milk stock, essentially, with the almonds, are cooking at just under about 80 degrees. Heat setting of about 3.5 out of 10 on the stove. I'm going to let these continue to simmer for a little. This has been at a slow simmer around 75 degrees Celsius for 15 more minutes. Water comes to a boil. We add the spaghettini. It's thinner than spaghetti, but it's not as thin as angel hair. It's a number 3 pasta if you're going by the Italian numbering system. Okay, after about 45 minutes, this is thickened up considerably. And now I'm going to add all the diced turkey meat to it. And of course, the turkey meat is at room temperature, so this will cool it off some. But you can see this is more like a stew right now because it's so thick. That's a good thing. I'm going to keep the heat down at about 3 on 1 to 10. Here we have the drained pasta. Now I'm going to add to this that entire mixture. That was the Parmesan cheese, the solids from the braise, milk solids, and the white wine. And this is going to get tossed around a bit. Baking tray. Show you just a single portion here. Put a good amount of butter on it. Use a meat fork for this. Take some of the pasta, twirl it around, and put it into the buttered baking dish. A little bit. Clean it up by getting rid of that. That's fine. Pull that out. Keep it from falling over. Okay, and into the oven it goes. Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.